A recording of a person farting was sold for over $400. This image of a monkey was sold for over $276,000. And this tweet was sold for over $2.9 million. In my whole 10 years of being on the internet, I have never seen such a trend blast off as NFTs have. NFTs have taken the world by storm, and they're also an interesting topic to talk about, since the effects of NFTs on the world and its people are a lot more than just digital art pieces and content. In this video, I'll be going over what NFTs are all about, some advantages that they have, the major problems that they give, and my own personal opinions. The way our economy works is that we earn money and we use that money to buy goods. But the more we use digital apps like Twitter and YouTube, and the more we play digital games such as Genshin Impact, the more of our purchases shift from physical goods to digital goods. But the problem with that is that digital goods are harder to monetize. Let's say I made a physical drawing and put it for sale. No matter how many times someone tries to copy that drawing, they can't copy it 100%. Even if they go so far as to take a photo and print it, you can still see the differences. Now, if I were a digital artist and made that piece on my iPad, for example, the moment I upload it to the public as a JPEG image, I would lose almost all control of that asset. It can be copied easily by just right-clicking, and those copies will look exactly the same as my original. That art will no longer be a scarce resource, and that means its value drops dramatically. This is something that NFTs are trying to change. The word NFT in and of itself stands for non-fungible token. Simply, something that is fungible is interchangeable, like money. If I gave you my $10 note, you could easily exchange that with your $10 note. Something that's non-fungible is something that can't be interchanged. For example, if I were to give you a Pokemon card, you probably wouldn't know what to give me back in return. Perhaps another Pokemon card, or maybe a coupon for something, but none of that is of the same value. NFTs use the blockchain to be able to indisputably verify who has the digital ownership of something digital. As the name suggests, NFTs are like one-of-a-kind tokens of ownership that have value. So when people are buying and selling NFTs, what they're really doing is buying and selling their virtual ownership over something. Now, there are some notable advantages to NFTs. For example, if you're a designer, you've got a new way to earn. And for fans of your art, they have a new way of supporting you. Instead of just paying a donation via PayPal, they're actually getting a piece of your history in exchange. NFTs put an end to really long, boring contracts as well, replacing them with smart contracts, which somewhat define the rules by which the NFT operates. So for example, a designer can set a rule that every time the item is bought or sold, they get a 25% cut. NFTs are also a dream for a lot of collectors. Aside from the fact that they don't really do anything, which might sound kind of dumb, there are many people in the world that gain pleasure from knowing that they've collected something rare. Just think of trading cards, for example. There was once a Charizard Pokemon card that sold for over $220,000. It wasn't because the card's stats were good, nor was it because it was good at battling. It's because it was hard to find. Through NFTs, the fact that you can become the sole owner of the token for a digital piece, authenticated by a system that's completely foolproof, you can see how it might give collectors a similar thrill. Another advantage is that everyone can make NFTs, not just creators. Because NFTs can be traded, each of them have a market value. We can see this through this example of the NFT named This Changed Everything, which is an NFT of an artistic take on the first source code used for one of the earliest versions of the World Wide Web. Originally, this was sold for $1,000, but it eventually went up and was sold for roughly $5.4 million. NFT market is also a fairly accessible place to invest. It's not like the stock market, which could be intimidating to a lot of people, and it's not like the housing market, where you might need hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get started. Finally, NFTs also give people a sense of belonging. A pretty big part as to why people buy them is to feel like they're part of a club. One example is a collection of NFTs called the Bored Ape Yacht Club. 10,000 unique ape images, which the cheapest one now costs over $200,000. The point is, you regularly find that people who own these NFTs will use these images everywhere, kind of like a symbol of pride that they're part of this exclusive group. And on top of that, the creators of this Bored Ape Yacht Club also organize physical meetups for people who own their NFTs. This takes us to the problems. The extremely problematic problem. I quite believe in the core technologies and the potential benefits of NFTs. Well, specifically towards artists and designers. But the more I learn about how they're being used, the more I'm concerned about what's to come. To start, NFTs are not what most people think they are. If you have an NFT of a piece of work, whilst you do have the ownership, you're still not the owner. Having an NFT doesn't give you the right to do what you want with that design. You can't just start printing t-shirts or making merchandise with that NFT and selling them. All the NFT does is just prove that it's your property. Even though NFTs may have started out being all about respecting the artists, as of right now, most NFTs aren't being made by the lone creator putting their heart and soul into their work. They're actually being made by opportunistic business people who just see them as a way of making quick money. As an example, take the Lazy Lion, another collection of 10,000 unique and unbelievably expensive avatars, just as ugly as the apes, but in lion form. If you look closely, you'll notice something. Certain facial features keep reappearing, and that's because lazy lions aren't the work of a passionate individual who's genuinely trying to design creatures with real character. They're mass-produced, computer-generated cash grab. They realized the NFT apes are getting in popularity, so they just picked another animal, drew 50 or so individual pieces, and then used a simple piece of code that says, "Make me 10,000 unique avatars using a combination of these pieces." There's no soul here at all. It's just, how do we take advantage of this trend to make piles of cash? Here's another example. One of the most absurd ideas I've seen from people online buying NFTs is buying digital land. There's a real site that you can go to called Next Earth, where the creators have mapped out the entire planet, and for the right price will allow you to buy any area of land that you want. And no joke, hundreds of thousands of people have swarmed to this platform with the simple logic of, well, physical land is worth so much now, and if the world's moving digital, then digital land is going to be worth loads, right? But these people are forgetting a very simple fact. Physical land has a purpose. You can live there, you can set up a factory, or make a restaurant there. But what exactly am I going to do with my digital land? Go online picnicking? Doesn't make sense. And these Next Earth people, who are they? Do they own the Earth? Is it really in their power to sell other people's plots of land? Well, obviously not. Anyone can set up these platforms. As a matter of fact, there are loads of them. So if you were to buy, let's say, my house on Next Earth, that doesn't mean you own my house. It doesn't even mean virtually that you own my house. All it means is that you have a token that it's your property on one of these unlimited number of platforms. It's the equivalent of paying an entire year's worth of savings for buying land in a video game. Except it's not even a game. And things get far worse when you see that some celebrities have used and have been used by NFTs. Twitter is full of thousands of famous people dropping NFTs everywhere. Justin Bieber, Mike Tyson, Eminem, they've all jumped into the NFT craze. And some celebrities that drop NFTs are offering incentives to fans who buy the super expensive ones, like getting to meet them, for example. And that might sound fine, but you can tell that it's coming from a place of just trying to cash in. Some time ago, I was browsing through Twitter and saw something unbelievable. Someone has made an NFT collection of a popular live streamer who is now deceased by the name Deaqon. In my own humble opinion, this is absolutely disgusting to see. It's way beyond disrespectful. Seeing that someone could use a deceased person's name in order to make profit for themselves? Absolutely horrible. Another one I saw was Stan Lee, who is the now deceased creator of Marvel, which apparently came back from the dead to promote an NFT collection. At this point, it's just quite sad. Stan Lee died in 2018, and I highly doubt that his last words were, "Make my work an NFT collection that sells for extremely expensive prices for my biggest fans." It's truly disgusting that someone would have the audacity to use Stan Lee's official Twitter account to promote NFTs and get rich off of the fact that he is dead. And they're making it seem that because Stan Lee loved embracing new tech, this is what he would have wanted. But yeah, fun fact, Stan Lee also loved charity, to the point where he set up his own foundation. Why didn't they make those NFTs to sell for that? It'd definitely be a better way of preserving his legacy. The same thing happened with the world-renowned painter Bob Ross. About last year, the Funko Pop company decided to create Bob Ross NFTs for sale. And I think this goes against everything he stood for. The company claimed that his legacy was about investing in paintings, but in reality, it wasn't. He wanted people to buy paint and make the art. Bob Ross didn't want his name to be used for mindless generation of profit, and yet, after his death, they're using every bit of goodwill that his name has left to effectively print money. Most of all, he was a huge fan of nature and the environment, and NFTs aren't helping that. We know that in cryptocurrency there are a lot of different types of currencies, such as Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and Ethereum. Most NFT transactions use Ethereum, and Ethereum is pretty bad for the environment. It uses security systems called proof of work, which is usually thorough, and is a part of what makes NFTs quite foolproof. But the problem with that is that this type of security requires a lot of computers around the world to be contributing their power to this network, and that uses a lot of energy. And this is why whenever someone wants to put up an NFT for sale or buy an NFT, gas fees are applied. Now, gas fees are the fees that are used to pay for the resources that these computers need to complete your transaction. And gas fees vary depending on how fast you want the transaction to be and so on. A lot more factors. And if you're an artist or designer, sometimes gas fees can exceed the amount of money that you sell your NFT for, which inevitably makes you end up with no profit at all. NFTs are also riddled with illegal activity. For every NFT you see from a legitimate artist, you'll find 10 from people who've never made any drawings in their entire life. People who have basically taken an already copyrighted piece of work and tokenized it, maybe even pixelated it to make it look like retro art. A lot of messed up things are going on around the NFT craze, and that brings us to my own personal opinions. In my own personal opinion, I very much dislike NFTs. No matter how you want to try and convince me, I think the whole idea is pretty stupid. I know there are some benefits to them, especially for the artists and designers who have a passion for selling digital art to their fans, and for collectors who want to get something rare. I get that, but I think I'd still rather pay an artist for an art commission that I can use for pretty much what I want, rather than paying over $1,000 for a design that I can't even technically own. I may be biased, since my family has never been so rich and we prefer the simple things in life, but even if we were, I still wouldn't invest in NFTs because they simply seem very useless to me. So if you're asking if I support NFTs or not, then the answer is a straight up no. I also care about the environment, and NFTs aren't helping that either. With that being said, thank you for watching this video, and maybe I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.